Hi everyone, it's Amy here from Clean Cloth Nappy Hire. We're here for today's Changemakers live series as on behalf of the Australian Nappy Association. So I guess as people join us today, I'll be able to see you pop up. This is actually the first time I've ever gone live on Facebook, which is a little bit exciting for me. We've had some viewers send in a few questions already, so we can chat about those things. Or if you want to submit a question, just pop it in the comments box, and I think it'll pop up for me, and we can talk about whatever you like today. Hi Karen, I can see you up there, so I'm glad you got my reminder. All right, so first of all, I'll tell you a bit about me and my business and how I got started in cloth. And then I guess we'll get stuck into the content of today's chat. And there's no time limit on this thing, so we can talk for as long or as little as we like. See you there. All right. So the comments pop up in the window. So this is going to be quite easy, I think. So yeah, I'm Amy. I have a cloth nappy hire business called Clean Cloth Nappy Hire. And I guess I've been part of the greater cloth nappy industry for about 5 years. Most of my involvement until the last couple of years had been on Facebook groups. I love chatting with other mums and helping them get started. My professional background, I did my degree in environmental science, and so I guess I always had an interest in everything sustainable and reusable, and I hated putting plastic in landfill. So when I became pregnant with my first, I didn't even think about using disposable nappies. It was just always in my mind that I'd use cloth nappies, and I guess I had a bit of mentality. Hey Melissa, how you doing? I saw your trampoline, it looks fantastic. Yeah, so I guess I had the mentality that if it was good enough for my parents, it would be fine for me too, and so I just went with that. And actually my first stash was old-fashioned terry flats, and I made my own covers. And things have evolved a bit since then. So I guess I went down the rabbit hole of modern cloth nappies and tried everything. I don't know how many nappies I've bought and sold over the years, but it's been a fun adventure. And I guess it was sort of nappies became my mum hobby and then my business. So I really like cloth nappies. I think they're fantastic, and I want to share them with everybody. So environmental scientist by day. I work in water resources these days, and by night I have a cloth nappy hire business. And cloth nappy hire is an awesome way to try cloth nappies. So if I help a lot of parents who are, they're thinking of trying cloth, but they're not sure if they want to jump right in and spend $500 or more on a stash of cloth nappies, and they just want to see how they go, and I guess get a feel for what they think and how it works for their family. And the aim of my service is to try to take the confusion out of getting started, because if you can think back to when you first started in cloth nappies, or if you're researching them now, it's really, really overwhelming. It's like everything in the baby world is another language, right? And cloth nappies is no different. So there's an acronym for everything. There's so much to learn about, like nappy storage and washing, and different types of nappies and different fabrics and different amounts of absorbency, night nappies. You could talk about nappies for hours, and I haven't done. So I guess that I've got mascara on my face there. There we go. That's fixed. You can see that in my camera. It's really quite confusing when you're getting started, and you try to set up your stash and you think, I hope that'll be alright, and you get advice from different people online, different groups, different threads on the internet, but it's really overwhelming, and you don't really know, I guess, how it might turn out until you jump in and try it. So cloth nappy hire. The nappies are already chosen for you to be like really high quality, super absorbent, effective nappies. So I guess it's not like buying the nappies off a Groupon, which are like $3 each or something, and then you get them home and then you have to post on Facebook because they don't work for you. I don't supply those nappies to people. I supply the best nappies I think are out there. from really tried and true and reliable brands. And I do this to give people the best starting cloth, because I don't want people to get frustrated when they start cloth and think cloth nappies really suck, they didn't work for me, they leaked all the time, they fell apart, they were hopeless. So I'm aiming for the aiming for the best, and to provide the best service and give everybody the best experience when they get started. So if you've got any friends who are thinking of starting in cloth, send them to Clean Cloth Nappy Hire. I'd be really happy to help them out. So today in the chat, hi Marion, how are you? I'm glad you could make it. You remembered too. You're doing well. So today in the chat we're going to talk about laundry, and I guess laundry is one of those things that everybody talks about when they're talking about cloth nappies, and it's probably, I helped out online on the Clean Cloth Nappies group, which I started for many years, and spent many hours of my week helping people with their laundry. And it's one of those things where there's so much information out there, and when you get started, same thing again, it's just overwhelmed, and trying to work out what will work for your family. Like there's a recipe, right? And so you can follow the recipe, and the recipe can give you great results, or you can still have a few things to tweak. And so it's a bit like making a cake. You put your ingredients in and you press go, and then you see what comes out. And if your recipe's not quite right, you can make tweaks to your recipe. But you have to know what to tweak, or might I adjust the detergent, or the time, or the temperature, or the amount of laundry in the machine, or how does it even work? And so I really like troubleshooting, and I love helping people to get the best from their laundry. So hopefully today I can answer a few useful questions, but I thought we'd start with the basics. Probably if you've ever been to a baby expo, or you've talked to people at baby expos about cloth nappies, one of the most frequently asked questions is, what do you do with the poo? And my advice here is buy a nappy sprayer. A nappy sprayer is an absolute godsend. I was lucky to buy a nappy sprayer. I got it for a baby shower gift from my sister. Hi Megan. I don't think you're here today, but anyway, thank you for the nappy sprayer. It was the best baby gift ever. It has been the most useful thing we have ever installed in our bathroom. And every time I've been away from my nappy sprayer on holidays or wherever else, I've really, really missed my nappy sprayer. So my number one hot tip, get a nappy sprayer. With a nappy sprayer, it's like a bidet sprayer, like a trigger hose that you attach to your toilet. And you just spray the poos off into the toilet and flush the toilet and put the nappy in the basket. And it is the easiest thing ever. And I think they cost about $85. The one we have is called, it's called a Little Squirt, and it's made in Australia. And it's got all of the plumbing components that you need to set it up effectively. You can buy trigger hoses and bidet sprayers and things like that from Bunnings too. If you're doing a DIY setup, it's a good idea to consult a plumber, because the Little Squirt sprayer has got this thing called a backflow preventer valve in it. And my understanding of I can't even speak. My understanding of a backflow preventer valve is that it stops, if there's like a flood in your sewage lines, the water can go back up the pipes and into the freshwater line, which contaminate your freshwater source, which obviously is going to be very bad if that's supplying the drinking water for your house. And so if you've got a backflow preventer valve installed with your setup, then that won't happen to you. So definitely advisable, if you're doing a DIY, consult a plumber. You can also get hose fittings that will connect up to your spare laundry taps, or even to your laundry sink. And that's also a fine way to rinse out your nappies. If you don't have a nappy sprayer, or you're renting, or you're on holiday, or whatever else, some people use like a dedicated, like a poo knife, or a scraper, or a spatula, or something, to clean the bulk off, and then just rinse them under the laundry tap. So you flush the solid bits down the toilet, and then rinse the nappy under the laundry tap to get rid of the rest. And you can also rub a bit of Sard soap or laundry soap into it, which will help to prevent stains. It's like, as a parent, I think it's probably the number one concern of people who are getting started in cloth, that they'll have to deal with poo all the time. And I think the thing you don't realise as maybe as a new parent, is that you're going to be dealing with you're going to be dealing with poo no matter what type of nappies you use. So cloth nappies, no cloth nappies, there's going to be poo. And disposables are much worse than cloth for poo explosions. Like you're probably, although you'll be dealing, with washing the nappies, I guess, you're probably washing a lot less clothes and bedding and swaddles and whatever else than you would be if you were using disposable nappies. So every time we've had a near blowout, I've always thanked the cloth nappy gods for for giving us such great nappies that really save us a lot of work, as well as give us some different type of work as far as doing the washing goes. That's the other thing. People think they're going to be doing a lot of laundry, and as a new parent you're always going to be doing laundry because you've got all of these wraps and swaddles and sleeping bags and sheets and 1 million outfits a day, socks, mittens, whatever else. The laundry is never ending as a parent, and so there's always going to be a load of laundry to do, and you can integrate that regular laundry with your cloth nappy laundry to make your life a bit easier as well. So that's how to remove the poo. I guess the next thing is, where do you put the nappy when you've taken it off a baby? Like, what do you do with it? And the way, like, different people do different things, and I'll tell you what worked for us. We had a bucket in the nursery. So in our house we had like the nursery down the hallway, and over time the nursery became our room. We all just slept together. That was nice and easy. So we had the change table in the nursery / bedroom, and we'd put the wet or dirty nappies into a bucket that was there. And then when we had enough nappies in the bucket, or in toddlerhood if it was a smelly poo or whatever, we'd take it over to the toilet to rinse it. And that was really easy because you just pick up your bucket and take it down the hallway and give it a bit of a disinfect and take it back again. And you don't just need one bucket. We had multiple buckets because it was just easier to disinfect the bucket and leave it in the shower until you had time to rinse it, and so on. And so some people use a wet bag as well, like a waterproof bag, and you can get hanging wet bags that you can hang off of your change table, and then you can change the nappy on your baby and just put the nappy into the hanging wet bag and then take the whole thing to the laundry at the end of the day. That would work fine as well. They're zippered. They're probably they're good for containing smell, which is, we'll talk about that when we talk about dry paling in a minute. Containing smell is like, yes, it's good if it's, you're putting a poopy nappy into a wet bag. But airflow actually prevents smell, so that might be a bit counterintuitive for people who think, you put your nappies into a sealed bucket, or you seal them up in a wet bag and you wrap it up in whatever, and you try to keep the air out and contain it as much as possible. It's actually the opposite. Like, well-aired nappies really don't smell. So anyway, so we took our bucket off to the toilet and we sprayed the nappy, and then we had a laundry basket next to the toilet, and the laundry basket was the nappy pail, and in nappy terms that's called a dry pail. And so dry pail, you can use whatever, but plastic laundry basket, like just a normal, what's the brand? I've forgotten what they're called. Anyway, the ones you buy at Bunnings, like it starts with an S, and it's fallen out of my head. Anyway, so we got no, it's still falling out of my head. So anyway, a plastic laundry basket worked well for us. Some people use like wire baskets, or like plastic coated wire baskets. I've never pailed in a wire basket before. I'd be a bit concerned. Like, normally whenever I've had a plastic coated wire anything, the plastic degrades and then it goes rusty. And here in the subtropics, rust is, sort of tries to get into everything. So from my perspective, a plastic basket has been better for me. You can use an open bucket as well. Don't put the lid on. Airflow is your friend when it comes to preventing smells and mold and these sort of things. And it's fine to use a bucket, but you'll find that the more airflow you get with your pail, the less smells you're likely to have. So that's something to keep in mind when you're choosing a basket. You don't want to contain it all. You want to give it good airflow to prevent smells. So when you've got enough nappies in your basket, it's time to wash them. And so when I first started washing nappies, which it was only 5 years ago that I started washing nappies, which it's gone pretty quickly, but a lot has changed in that time. And so the first nappy washing advice I ever got was from my parents. And I just asked them, you know, how did you wash your nappies? And I used Terry Flats with my first, as I mentioned before. And so they said they used to make up White King bleach solution, and they put the nappies in there, and then at the end of the day they put them all in the machine and give them a wash and hang them out on the line the next day. And you know, I thought, oh, that all seems pretty nice and easy and these kind of things. But when I actually started looking into nappy washing, I discovered that with modern cloth you can't, you shouldn't be soaking them, because they've got different materials these days. And the waterproof fabrics are glue laminated usually, and so what that means is they've got you've got the polyester outer layer, you've got the plastic waterproof layer, and they're stuck together with tiny dots of glue. So if you've got a nappy there, you can actually have a look at it and you can see the tiny dots of glue. And you imagine, like, you know, when you here's another analogy, if you've ever like put your shoes in the washing machine and then they've started to fall apart because the glue's come unstuck, that's the kind of thing that will happen if you soak your cloth nappies. So it's really not a good idea to soak modern cloth nappies. And aside from the fact it's also a drowning hazard, so not a good idea to have buckets of dirty water around your house when you've got kids. So anyway, so take them down to the laundry, and at this stage you can pre-treat if necessary. So a modern nappy wash routine, you let the machine pretty much do all of the work for you. So previously, like my parents, they soaked and then they washed. And they had a top loader, which isn't the most effective washing machine, but like modern detergents and modern washing machines, they've really come a long way. And so these days you know, pretty much like save yourself the hassle, let your machine do the work. And the thing we do instead of soaking these days is we do a pre-wash cycle. So when you do your nappy wash, you get 2 washes. So you do a pre-wash and then a main wash, and that's basically like a short wash and then a long wash. And the pre-wash is to get rid of excess soiling from the nappy. So I guess it takes the place of a rinse. You don't have to rinse all of the nappies by hand beforehand. You might like to rinse the poopy nappies and give them a bit of a scrub with Sard soap or laundry soap, and that'll help to prevent any stains. But otherwise you can just let your washing machine do the work. So put them all into the machine, set a short wash cycle with detergent, and then when that's done, you just turn the machine on again for a long wash cycle. And for the second wash, because all of the excess poo and wee is already out of the nappies and they're about to get a super thorough clean in clean water with a good dose of detergent, you can put other laundry in there and it will come out super sparkling. So you might like to wash light coloured things, you know, like socks and jocks and swaddles, sleeping bags, burp cloths, any baby laundry that you've got that can deal with a really, you know, it needs a good long hot wash. Nursing singlets too. Milk's hard to get out of things with a regular wash sometimes. Nursing pads, anything that needs a really, really good wash can go into your nappy main wash to bulk up the load so that you've got a full machine. So pre-wash, main wash, good detergent. So things that are your friend when it comes to nappy washing. Really, really good laundry detergents. So you'll find that I think a lot of people come into nappy washing with a sort of with an eco mentality, and they might want to use a super eco detergent to clean their nappies. But probably what they'll find over time is that the super eco detergents don't really do a very good job of cleaning nappies, and then they'll get smelly. So my advice is to, even if, like, you can use the eco detergent on your clothes or whatever, but for nappy washing I prefer to use a mainstream detergent. And I guess one of the other question is, like, a mainstream detergent is bad for the environment, and I don't think so. In Australia, the composition of laundry detergents is regulated, and that's for eco, plant-based, and mainstream detergents altogether. It's regulated by phosphorus content. So phosphorus is what can cause algal blooms in waterways and cause all sorts of, I guess, environmental troubles. And the other thing that's regulated is the biodegradability of the formula. So there's an Australian standard for biodegradability, which says that, you know, X component of the surfactants, so the cleaning agents in the detergents, they need to be able to biodegrade within a certain period of time. And all of the laundry detergents that are manufactured in Australia will be manufactured to the same standard. So it's not like your laundry detergent, if you're using a mainstream detergent, it doesn't present any kind of different problems for the environment than a plant-based detergent would. And the other thing is your water goes to a wastewater treatment plant in any case. Like all of the water that goes down your sewer goes to the wastewater treatment plant. And the wastewater treatment plant generally uses this stuff called bacterial sludge, which is pretty cool. And that's a colony of bacteria that work to break down all of the components. And this is a whole field of engineering, wastewater treatment. So it's highly engineered to deal with the specific components that are coming through in the wastewater itself. And so that water is then safe for release into the environment afterwards. So I don't think there's any harm using a mainstream detergent. It'll give your nappies a much better clean. So we talked about detergent. Oh, the quantity of detergent, very important too. Nappies are dirtier than your regular laundry. And so when you're washing them, you'll need a bit more detergent than you would for your regular laundry. It's just relating to the soil load of nappies means that you need more detergent to get them the same clean. So if you're using, for example, in your pre-wash, that's just to get rid of excess soil. So you might put half a scoop or cap of detergent in there. But for your main wash, if you use 1 scoop of detergent for your clothes laundry, you might use 1.5 for your nappies because they're more dirty. And you can take the dose guide from the box of detergent. Most detergent boxes will have instructions for large loads or heavy soiling, hard water, something like that. It's basically there's normal load dose and then there's the heavy soiling dose. And so try the heavy soiling dose for your nappy main wash. So detergent, next component is temperature. So nappies, they'll get cleanest with a warm or hot wash. I guess, how can we explain this? So one is melting things. So for example, baby poo might have fat from the milk in it, and so that will help it'll warm or hot water will melt that and enable it to rinse out more easily. The other thing is that a lot of people will use nappy cream, and nappy cream is oil base, and so you need heat to melt the oil to enable it to wash out easily as well. And the other reason for using heat is bacteria. So basically as you increase the temperature, bacterial survival in the wash is reduced, and probably at a temperature of 40 to 60 degrees you'll have negligible bacteria left after the wash. And so cold washing, it's never worked for me. I started out washing my terry flats in cold water, and that was fine when my first was a newborn. I found, they got perfectly clean, but as soon as he was on solids, that just didn't work anymore. So a lot of people say, can I cold wash my nappies? And if you absolutely have to cold wash them, I'd suggest washing them daily, because the longer that you leave nappies to sit, the harder they get to wash. So wash them frequently, wash them every day, and you can add a dose of Vanish, Nappy Sand, Sard, Dysan, whatever laundry soaker you've got. Add that into your main wash if you're trying to wash in cold, because that aids the bacteria removing properties of your detergent, and it also aids the stain removing properties of your detergent as well. And so if you add a laundry booster such as Vanish, that will enable you to get a better clean if you're washing in cold. But if you can, my advice is to wash warm or hot, and my preference is to wash my nappies at 60 degrees. Good quality nappies will be able to wash it at 60 without issue, and I've washed my nappies at 60 for the best part of 5 years now. Not yet lost an elastic, not yet had a delamination, and maybe that's just, exceptional luck, but my experience with that is that 60 degrees won't damage your nappies. You don't want to wash hotter than 60 degrees though, because as I mentioned, the waterproof layer is made from a type of plastic, and it's stuck together with glue. If you make the temperature super hot, like you send your nappies through on 90 degrees, you have the possibility of melting the plastic and separating that glue layer. So no hotter than 60 degrees, but I think 40 to 60 is a really, really great wash temperature to use. And so the third component of getting a great clean is time. Time is your friend when it comes to nappy washing. Basically, the longer, so a main wash is generally, it's the longest cycle that your machine does. And so, compared to clothes laundry, nappies, they're comparatively more difficult for your machine to get clean. And so if you can increase the time you wouldn't use like an everyday cycle, but you'd use a cotton cycle or a heavy duty cycle or something that's a nice long cycle to give them more time in the wash. Some old-fashioned machines have really short cycles, and so if you have one of these machines that might do a load of laundry in 40 minutes or so, you can add a soak in as well. You can usually, this is probably most applicable to old top loaders, you can lift the lid and it will stop, or you can pause it and just add a soak in there to give it a bit more time. But most modern washing machines will have a nice long cycle, and that's the one to choose. So there's heaps of great cloth nappy washing advice online. You can get example wash routines, and you can ask on Facebook groups, and people will help you out to get the best if you need to troubleshoot anything. So I guess that's the basics. So we've gone from nappies in your nursery, nappies in the bathroom or the laundry, wherever you rinse out the poopy nappies, and then into the machine. And I've been sent a few questions, so I'm just going to refer to my list and see what else we can address, and then maybe I can go through an example wash routine for a front loader and a top loader for the rest of the session for today. So I talked about how my parents wash nappies, and this is my list I'm talking about now. How my parents wash nappies, how I wash nappies. We've talked about we've got better washing machines, we've got better detergents than our parents had, and so we're quite lucky. It's easier for us to get a great clean than it was 30 years ago when I was a cloth baby. We've talked about what a cloth nappy routine looks like, what happens when you take the nappy off of your baby. We've talked about nappy storage, airy pail, or an open bucket. Nappy sprayer, the best thing in the universe. Pre-treating. I haven't talked much about pre-treating, so I mentioned Sard soap or laundry soap. Some people can just chuck the nappies into the washing machine and run the machine, and they come out perfectly clean and everything's great. Those people don't need a pre-treat nappies, and I was one of those people with my first baby. His poo never stained anything and it always washed out fine, and that was great. And I thought I was onto a real winner. And then my second baby came along and he taught me a thing or two about staining. And so I ended up having to pre-treat everything with his nappies. He just had baby poo that just stained like no other. Even though I was doing exactly the same thing in my washing machine and using the same nappies that I had previously. And so I tested, if you've known me online for a few years, you'd know that I've tested pretty much everything. That was my hobby, cleaning products. I've tried them all. It's been good fun. Anyway, so I tested all of the different pre-treated products out there. So different soaps and sprays and gels and basically everything from the pre-treater aisle I tried out to see what would work the best. And for me, what worked the best was laundry soap, like just plain old laundry soap. So Sard soap, Sunlight soap, Velvet soap, Coles brand soap. You can get like Tough Stuff from Tasmania, Ethic soap, whatever brand of laundry soap. They all worked as well as each other. I'll just take a little break here. Jude, hello, how are you? So Jude said, do you need to spray newborn breastfed nappies or can they go straight in the pre-wash? I like to spray them. I like to spray them because newborn breastfed poo often has grainy bits in it, and you send grainy bits through a really efficient, like a water efficient washing machine, and you often get grainy bits left in the load after, or stuck in the door gasket. I don't think that's a good idea. So I like to spray everything from day one, and that's always worked well for me. But I do see people post online that you don't need a rinse breastfed poo, just put it straight into the machine. And so obviously there's people that works for as well. So probably a good idea to try both and see how that works for you. If you're one of those people that can get away with just chucking the nappies straight into the machine, do that. Save yourself some work. You don't want to be spending more time doing the laundry than you need to. But if you're one of the people like me that needed to spray the poos, then spray the poos. I guess, and that's, like I mentioned, it's like the recipe thing. You need to try a whole bunch of different things and you need to find out what works for you. Because we've got the perfect recipe and then we've got real life. Real life and the perfect recipe often a little bit different. So there's no harm in experimenting and figuring out, how to get the most effective clean in your house. So I hope that answers that question for you. And if anyone else has some questions, feel free to pop them into the comments and I'll have a chat about them too. So we were talking about pre-treating. You could probably hear the garbage truck in the background there. It's bin day here in Brisbane. Actually, it's a really beautiful day here today. It's going to be like 33 degrees. I'm kind of excited. Pre-treating. So I found that laundry soap worked the best. And you don't need to pre-treat the nappies right away. I used to do them at the end of the night. So, you know, if the baby actually went to bed and my toddler went to bed and things settled down a bit, then I'd take the whole pail of dirty stuff or the bucket, whatever I'd use that day, down to the laundry for a pre-treat. And basically this just involved running them under the tap and just rubbing the laundry soap in until it was nice and bubbly. And this was you know, I guess it took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. And it prevented stains, so that was time that I was willing to put in to make that happen. But I did find it frustrating some days when I had a heap of poopy nappies, and you know, some newborns just poop every nappy, and that was my kids. And so I found that eventually I invented a hack using soap flakes, like Lux soap flakes. I think they're called Softly soap flakes now. And that worked for me just as well as actually spending the time. So that just involved dunking the inserts briefly into a bucket of hot soapy water and then washing them, and that worked really well as well. And I put a video about that on YouTube, and if you look up pre-treating newborn cloth nappies hack, I think it'll come up for you. It's on the Clean Cloth Nappy Hire YouTube channel, so you can find that if you're looking for a time-saving solution and a work-saving solution. That's a good one to try. Some people find that they can use Vanish or Sard or any of the laundry soakers in the wash, and that'll get the stains out as well. I've had variable success with that, so obviously that's one of those things as well. It's like, you know, another component of the recipe. It works perfectly for some babies and not so well for others. And for me, I found that it worked maybe 80% as well as the soap, but it wasn't perfect. And so it was my preference to use the soap in favour of one of those products. But again, if you can add a dose of Vanish into your wash and you come out with stain-free nappies, then go with that. It's, you know, it's nice and easy. Just reading Karen's comment there. Alrighty. So pre-treating down, wash format. So I talked about a pre-wash to get rid of the excess oiling. Main wash is the nice long wash to get them really, really clean. And then I guess drying is the next thing to talk about there. So a lot of people like to dry their nappies on the line, and that's great. Putting them out in the nice warm sun is a nice, fast and very energy efficient way to dry your nappies. So by all means, go for that. I found that over the years, if I put the covers, like the waterproof covers or the nappy shells, in the sun here in the subtropics, they got a bit sun damaged over time, and the colours faded, and they got they can get baked in the summer sun, and the plastic can go a bit brittle. And so over time I stopped hanging my covers in the sun and I started hanging them in the shade. So they dry really, really quickly. So you can put them on a clothes area, or here in Queensland you can see like we're sort of up in the sky here, and we live in high set houses, which means that we've got like a standing room under our houses, and so I strung up a whole lot of washing line under my house, and I just dried my nappies there. And maybe the inserts took a bit longer to dry on a line in the shade than they would have previously, but the shells dried just as quickly, and that worked well for me. You can put them in the dryer too. So dryer with inserts, you can put them in sort of any temperature, but if you're putting anything waterproof into the dryer, for example if you've got all-in-one nappies that have all of the waterproofing built into the nappy, you need to be careful of the dryer temperature, because dryers can get really hot, and you need to be careful that you don't melt that waterproof outer. So if you're putting anything with waterproof outer, or even elastic, some types of elastic can be like a urethane base, or especially the swimwear types of elastic. If you're putting those into your dryer, just be careful with the temperature. Set it to cool or warm. Don't set it to super hot. But if it's just inserts, then I found that hot is fine. And that's a nice, easy, fast way. If it's raining or it's cold, or you're in a hurry, or you just cannot be bothered hanging out the washing, it's fine to put the inserts into the dryer. And you can get great and energy efficient dryers these days. You can get heat pump dryers now, and they like a condenser dryer as well. they've got different mechanisms that are not like an electric heater for removing water from the laundry, and they use much cooler temperatures. So like for example, I bought a clothes dryer this year, and you can probably see I'm a little bit excited about my clothes dryer because it saved me so much work. But anyway, I bought a clothes dryer this year, and I bought a Bosch heat pump condenser dryer, and it's got a 7-star energy rating. And it's the first time in my life I'd actually even seen an appliance with a 7-star energy rating, and I couldn't believe that a clothes dryer could have a 7-star energy rating. So definitely, you know, it's not bad to use things that work for your family. If it's going to make your life easier and make cloth nappying easier for you, then go for it. You don't have to hang the nappies in the sun every day. But if you want to, that's great as well, and that's a really nice, you know, environmentally friendly way to dry them. Alright, so I guess I am going to go on to the questions. So I've got a list of questions that people submitted on various Facebook posts online before this session, and the first one is, do cloth nappies smell? So, thoroughly cleaned cloth nappies should not smell. They should be a pleasure to use, and you know, they shouldn't be offensive. So if you're taking the nappy off of your baby and it smells like a men's public toilet, that's not a good sign. If you're taking the nappy off of your baby in the morning after a night of use and it smells like anything other than fresh wee, like mild fresh wee, that's not a good sign. That means they're not really getting cleaned thoroughly enough, and they've got leftover old wee in them from previous washes. So I guess, you know, the same thing again. Get the steps of the recipe right, experiment with them. When you take the nappy off of your baby, you shouldn't smell anything more than mild fresh wee, and it's not offensive at all. If your nappies smell, ask for advice on one of the Facebook groups. Somebody will be able to help you out and to help you resolve that and get things working so that you don't have to deal with that, because that can't be very nice for you either. You know, you want your cloth nappies to be a really good experience for you. So if you can figure out how to get that working, then that's going to be the best thing. Question 2, is it hard or time consuming? So time consuming, I don't think so, because, you know, with any baby, no matter what nappies you use, you're going to spend time changing nappies, like all the time, all day, all night for a couple of years. And so whether you're putting a disposable nappy or a cloth nappy on your baby, I don't really think that makes a whole lot of difference. As far as doing the washing, like as I mentioned, like the machine does pretty much all of the work for you, and so other than, you know, having to spray the nappies, which takes 1 minute, and dump them in the washing machine, I wouldn't say there's much extra time at all. If you can offload the folding to somebody, that'd be great. That's my hot tip. I gave the folding to my husband ended up doing it. And that was fantastic, because I could just give him a basket of laundry and say, here's your nappies, and, you know, they'd magically get folded up and put away. So don't be afraid to ask for help from members of your family. You know, and that really make your life easier. Do whatever makes your life easier. That's a good parenting tip. Alrighty. So I don't think it's hard or time consuming. And obviously I'm a bit of an enthusiast about cloth nappies, but I found it really enjoyable. And so, you know, and I used to like putting on a TV show at night and, you know, fold the nappies and catch up on a bit of downtime, if you can call folding the laundry downtime, but you're going to be folding the laundry every night anyway, so do what you can do to make it a positive experience for yourself. And you'll probably find, you know, when your babies start crawling around and things like that, they like to jump in the laundry basket, and that's pretty cute. So that's worthwhile hanging out for as well. Alright, next question. Can I soak my nappies? As I mentioned, they're stuck together with glue. It's not a good idea to soak your nappies. It's a drowning risk for your kids, and it can degrade the nappy fabrics. So definitely keep them in a dry pail. Although they're wet nappies, it's not like they're not as wet as having them floating in a bucket of water, like wet shoes in the wash. Okay. Avoid soaking. Yeah. I guess that's all I can say about that. It's an old-fashioned idea, and it's not required. Your nappies won't stink out your house if they're thoroughly cleaned and you're washing them every couple of days. They won't be an issue. So next question is, what do I do if they come out of the wash with stains. So if they're coming out of the wash with stains, it's a matter of tweaking that recipe to get the best results, I guess. So you might adjust, the pre-treatment, you might adjust the time, the temperature, the detergent. You might try a different detergent, you might try a different amount of detergent. And the other thing that's important there is machine loading. So machine loading is all about just getting the optimal load size to make your wash really efficient and give good agitation in the wash. And agitation meaning that the wash rubs together. If the laundry and the wash is rubbing together effectively, that will scrub the stains out for you, and your nappies will come out lovely and white. So if they're regularly coming out with stains, adjust your recipe. If you just have like a one-off wash where they've come out with stains and you think, oh, that's a bit of a bummer, but that doesn't normally happen to me, what should I do? What you can do is, if they're just inserts, you can give them a bit of a scrub with laundry soap, a spray with stain remover spray. You can soak them for a couple of hours in Vanish. Just any kind of normal stain removal technique, and just send them back through the wash for another wash with your next load, and they should come out stain free. So we talked about loading, we talked about temperature, we talked about are detergents bad for the environment. Last question maybe, unless someone else wants to submit one, but the last one is, can I rinse poo in my laundry sink? And that's something that I see posted quite a bit on various places online. So as far as plumbing goes, your laundry sink should be connected to your sewer, which is the same place that your toilet goes, which is the same place that your hand basin goes, same place that your kitchen sink goes, for example. So there's no, as far as from a plumbing perspective, there's no problem with rinsing out poos in the laundry sink. I guess the thing you might want to consider if you're using your laundry sink for hand washing and soaking and things like that are cleaning. So you might want to keep a spray disinfectant or spray and wipe or detergent or something, so that you can, after you've rinsed the nappies, you might like to give the sink a bit of a wash, just to keep that surface hygienic for your other purposes. But otherwise, yeah, there's no trouble at all rinsing poos in your laundry sink. I don't know what else I can say about that one. Just it's fine, totally fine. All right, so let me see if I can actually scroll through this. Kylie's asked me about bleach. Is bleach toxic? I guess this is the question I'm going to finish on. We could talk about this forever. Same again, people come into cloth with an environmental perspective, and they think because it's bleach it must be a chemical and it must be really, really terrible for the environment. And so you don't need to use bleach as part of your regular nappy wash routine. A lot of manufacturers will say avoid the use of bleach because, same again, glue, right? So waterproofing stuck together with glue. You don't want to separate the glue by using solvents or really powerful, cleaners that are more than laundry detergent on it. So you definitely don't need to bleach as a regular thing. Circumstances where you might need to bleach are things like fungal infection, or if you're worried about transmission of, viruses, bacteria, and things like that are not treated under normal conditions. But as I mentioned earlier, warm or hot wash, good detergent, you won't have any problem with residual bacteria coming out of the wash anyway. So that's why you might need to bleach. Oh, and secondhand. If you bought secondhand nappies, great idea to give them. There's this thing called a strip and sanitize, which is a really thorough clean of your nappies. It involves a good soak with Vanish and detergent, and then a really dilute bleach soak to ensure that anything like fungal infections is removed before you use those nappies on your baby. Look up strip and sanitize if you're buying secondhand nappies. Alright, and so environmental vent. Alright, so we were talking about whether bleach is bad for the environment, and yeah, I think people think that bleach is terrible and it's never going to degrade and it's going to be really, really awful if you put bleach down the sink, and is bleach safe for a septic tank, and a lot of questions like this. So and the answer to those questions is basically like, it's fine. Bleach is produced from salt, and so it's got sodium and chloride, and so the formula for bleach is sodium hypochlorite, which is Na, sodium, H, which is hydrogen, Cl, which is chlorine, and O, which is oxygen. So you can see it's got salt and water in it, and it's just rearranged to make bleach. And so bleach is actually really, the reason it works so well is because it's really reactive, but it's also really volatile, which means that it breaks down super readily, super quickly. And that's why if you're, you might have seen that, especially with all the coronavirus advice at the moment, if you're making bleach solution, you need to make it every day. That is because bleach, once you mix it up, it doesn't last for long. It breaks down, and it breaks down to salt and water, like table salt, sodium chloride and water. And so from an environmental perspective, if you're buying and using bleach, the only thing that you're really going to be putting down the drain is salt and water, and that's really, it's a non-issue. You put down salt and water after you cooked your pasta and dip it out in your kitchen sink. It's really not a thing. So that can be a bit of a, I guess, a mental shift for a lot of people. But if you need to use bleach, and you don't need to use bleach as a regular thing, then bleach will not harm the environment if you're using it according to the directions and disposing of it in the wastewater. Alright, hello Rachel, you just popped up. How are you? Alright, I think that brings us to the end, so unless anybody has any more questions, I've talked for long enough and I better get back to my work day. But it's been really lovely chatting with you all. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll have somebody else from the Australian Nappy Association talking about another topic, and this will continue to go on for quite a few weeks. And so it's a great opportunity to learn about so many different aspects of cloth nappies, and how you can get the best out of them for your family. So I'll say goodbye for now, but it's been really lovely chatting with you today, and look forward to next time. Alright, see you then. Bye.